somewhere near, I think it was 30-something different schools growing up. And this all ends up serving a purpose later on in life because it sort of makes you who you are.
He's always like, toughen up, all the time. But
Used to hate it to start with, and same with the kids, you know.
Like, I still kind of hate it, but but it does make me tougher.
You know, we bought some property up in the mountains, and I started building the cabin, and every part of that cabin that I built, I was thinking about my grandfather.
If you want me to stay up here longer, then I need to have shower and
that's a
stuff
threat.
like that. Yeah.
Eventually there'll be a freaking mansion up there. I'll be looking for another mountain to build a little cabin on.
Yeah.
There was two Adam Greentrees, dude. When I was in the city, it was like...
That's his city get-up.
Like, I had spaceman suits, dude. Full silver, head to toe. The chain, dude. The big chain. I'm not even knocking on it.
Is this being filmed as well?
Yes.
Don't you bloody dare. Put that phone away. That is like every day. I'm like, how can she be becoming more to me? Like, you don't even realize you've got that in you, to love someone that much, It's like insane. Anything good in life, full stop, I'm telling you have to work for it. To be able to go hunting and just clears the mind, dude. And the ideas that I'd come up with when I was hunting that I could never come up with in any other environment. But you're your own person, you love that, and you've got to live life, and you should enjoy life. Like, there's no use living a completely boring life and not being happy with life and dying at 100.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You're better off living a fulfilled life to 20.
Talk to Andy, Stump, jumping off of buildings. I'm like, he's like, dude, I want to live life.
No, he's got issues. That's different.
Welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast at the ATA show. I've said this like a million times.
Yes, you're getting really good at
it. The ATA show in Indiana, and I'm joined by Kimmi Greentree and Adam Greentree.
We've saved
Woo!
the best for last.
Oh, totally.
This is
our final episode.
Secretly, I have wanted to do this podcast since I heard the both of you on your podcast, Adam, Bow Hunter's Life.
Yep.
And so you see your story and your life is very, very public online. And I get to see you share your stories, and then your family's kind of in there and mixing in and out, and you see Kimmi and all that. But then on the podcast, you get the full enchilada with the two of you guys together.
See, I feel like that you don't, because he cuts me off.
Well,
just like it's basically about him.
Let's start out the Gritty Bowmen podcast with an argument.
It's basically about him. Like it is. And I said to him, I'm like, all we do is talk about bow hunting. And he's like, it's called A Bow Hunter's Life. And I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of boring.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
See, this is awesome.
Can you have me on more often?
I loved listening to you guys and your dynamic and hearing your story, because I was telling Kimmi offline, and do you like Kimmi or Kim? Or either one?
I actually like Kimmi because it makes me feel like I'm younger than I am.
Kimmi is kind of you say, hey, Kim.
Yeah,
or you say,
it's like,
hey, Kimmi.
Yeah.
Like there's just that energy that comes. I would agree
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well,
oh gosh.
please.
The rivets are flashing skin.
Oh, we're getting a little piece of the pie.
So I got to hear your podcast and hear more about your life, and so for those who haven't followed along, I wanted to briefly kind of give them a background, or have you give a background on where you live, what, and kind of just how you got to where you're at right now.
Kim?
That was directed at you, wasn't it?
Either one.
You're my life, so I'm sure you can.
So you
sum
want
it up.
an exact address on where we live?
Yeah, we get GPS coordinates.
Like you did construction
where do we
for
send
a long
mail?
time, right?
Yeah, so like me and Kim have been together since like we've been 18, 19. I think so. It's been like 18 years we've been together and married for 15.
Yeah.
And so I started out in the construction industry, and we pretty much travelled around Australia, trying trying to find, well, not traveled around Australia. We were based on the East Coast, and we ended up moving to the West Coast, and I was just chasing, like, decent work because, like, the construction industry is so rocky. Like, it's up and down. Like, you'll have a boom, and then a month later it's, like, dead quiet, and just we just always struggled for money. You know,
we did.
Like, it was really difficult, and obviously we're the sort of people that don't like to sit on their hands, and we like to keep busy. And unfortunately, in this society, to sort of keep the sort of busy that we wanted to be, you need money, so you need a good income. And we ended up moving to, like, a really remote part of Australia up north, where I had a good job at the time, and then I ended up starting my own construction company because I'd go away hunting. Obviously, I'm very passionate about the outdoors and going away, and
always have been.
Really, yeah, and to really experience that, it's not a day out in the mountains, you know. Like, to really experience it, it's 20 days. Like, it seriously is. Like, if you haven't spent 20 straight days in the bush, you're missing out on something. But
so
anyway,
when's my turn?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to have 20 days, and you're going to look after the kids.
No. But I'll just take the kids with me in the mountains. But so I'd go away for 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, 15 days at a time, and during that time there'd be absolutely no income. You know, so it's like whatever money we made and we worked hard would just constantly get chewed up. Yeah. But, you know, life's not about just making money. Like, life's about living, you know. So I thought the best way to do it is to have an income when you're not there. Like, how do you do that? And that's starting your own business and having people working for you. And I spent many years and hard work sort of getting that build up. And it's only been the last couple of years that's really come into play in business, where I can step away from the business to the point I'm at now. I feel like I'm retired, but so anyway, I end up getting all that established. This is a very, very quick version, and I've just jumped about like 1,000 important things that's happened along the way and heartache. But
just so the sacrifice.
Yeah. So now we live on the East Coast where we want to live. It's like right beside the ocean, and there's good hunting pretty much 2 hours in any direction from where I live. And in Australia, there's 20. I think there's 27 huntable species. And you only need a tag for one of those 27 animals. Everything else is open, and pretty much in every state of Australia, there's a couple of rules and regulations in a few states, but pretty much every state, and for every one of those animals, it's open season all year round in Australia. So we're not limited by a rifle season and a bow season, or you can only hunt this in a certain season. So,
but I also think, like, a point that you may miss out on is that we can't just go into national park.
No, we don't. Like America's the system is so beautiful that anyone can go and get a over-the-counter tag somewhere, and there's land that you can go and hunt.
Public land.
We don't,
on the west.
We don't have that.
That is so amazing. There's a tiny little bit of that in Australia, in Victoria, and a little bit of it in New South Wales, and that's it. But it's not like the scale of hunting and access that you guys have got here. So, and that's why I come out here every season, you know, for a foreigner. Obviously it's a great privilege to be able to come out to America and get a tag and be able to, you know, like I did last year, walk off into the mountains for 28 days or whatever it was. Like, that's just insane to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's hear Kim's take on where we live in our life, because it's probably completely different to what I said.
What do you mean?
Well, I am curious, like, with your, so you guys have built a, like, kind of dream cabin in the woods, right?
Yeah.
And
a really cool cabin.
Yeah, my wife has it.
It's pretty cool.
My wife has a degree in interior design.
Right.
And she's way into, like, designing places and
the interior,
and all that kind of stuff, right? And so you guys go and you build this cabin, and I follow along, like, from the very start when you guys started putting it all together and showing, oh, this is this and this is that. And so for folks listening, like, you guys built a little, like, cabin cottage kind of thing, romantic looking getaway in the mountains.
Oh, once Kim got inside there, it was a bit romantic.
Yeah, well, I just basically had to tell him what to do.
And and so you got this construction guy, and then you got, like, the artist?
The creative, stylish one.
Stylish one.
We'll give you that.
And
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And you built this thing, and it's really cool. Well, how did that come about?
So, like I looked up to me. We could go a little bit deeper here now, but I always looked up to me grandfather when I was growing up, and I come from a broken family and pretty like rough environment, and so I always looked up to me grandfather because he was just always a really peaceful man and really positive and stuff like that. Whereas, and you wouldn't even believe it was his son. My father was the complete opposite growing up, and it was just a shitty childhood. And anyway, I ended up getting into a little bit of trouble, and I think it just comes with the way that I was brought up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never really had that father figure or anything like that. End up living in what you guys would call like the projects, but the Australian version of that, and end up getting into trouble and just being what I would call now, looking back on it, I was a mongrel kid, you know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mean to be, but it's just sort of where that life takes you. And I was sort of just trying to come out of that. Like I was just realizing, like I'm not going down a good path. I'm not. This isn't going to end in a good place. And I was just trying to get out of that. And my grandfather passed away, and it friggin' shattered me because, and I always think back to it now.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm thinking back to it. He never knew the man that I was trying to be because
What he saw wasn't.
no, I was a mongrel back then, you know. But he was such a nice man. He would have never thought of me like that anyway. But he used to build everything with his hands, dude. Nothing. If something broke, it was an excuse to do something. Like he'd fix it. It didn't matter what it was. And I remember when I was younger, before I got into that stage of my life, like, you know, following him up the back shed. Like I was in his shadow. Everything he did, you know. Like I really looked up to him. And obviously, I got a bit of maturity about myself after a while. And the cabin was like, that's just always something I wanted to do. Like, even before that, we bought an old house and I renovated it literally from the front footpath to the very back fence, dude. I went through the whole lot. I renovated the whole place, and then and we ended up selling it and making some good money on it. But it was more than that. It was a home for my kids, you know, because I think we worked it out. Like I went to somewhere near, I think it was 30-something different schools growing up. So that tells
we did it the other night.
That tells you how many different houses we lived in. Like sometimes we'd be in a house for like just a couple of months and we'd move, you know. It was like, that was just
so
part of the
unsettled.
childhood.
Yeah.
And I hated it because you could never establish friends because you'd go to a school and then you'd go to the next school, you know, and you're always the new kid at the school. And this all ends up serving a purpose later on in life because it sort of makes you who you are. But I could never establish friends or anything like that. And I just thought when I have kids, I want them to be in the one spot and go to the same school their whole life, you know.
And I agreed because I'm a RAF brat. Like, my dad was in the services, so I'd moved around my whole life as well.
So Kim was the same,
Yeah, and I was just like, let's just
Find a place.
find a spot so our kids can just stay put.
So I fixed that place up, and the kids had pretty much most of their childhood in that place, and, you know, it was a good environment. And then we sold that place and we've moved on since then, but they go to the same school and everything. They've established the same friends, you know. It's a beautiful thing. So anyway, then I had nothing to build anymore because that house was renovated and sold, and the new house is pretty done up already, although Kim will argue there's heaps of stuff for me to do there. But that's one of those people I want to keep busy. So then, you know, we bought some property up in the mountains and I started building the cabin, and every part of that cabin that I built, I was thinking about my grandfather, you know, like, and I was thinking, because I built it solo, dude. I didn't have any mechanical aid or anything like that. Like I built it with my hands, and it was like, it was a proud moment, you know. So that was a big part of the drive.
And it didn't have electricity and water for a while.
It didn't have electricity
Does
or
it still?
water.
What is it now?
No, so
It's great.
I mean, like, it's another. We've stepped it up.
She's pushed, like, because I'm like, I just want to always
It's
keep
very
it like this,
comfortable.
you know.
Yeah, it's very comfortable now. Very homey.
Yeah.
I end up putting a water tank on there, which just collects water off the roof. So then we had flowing cold water, and then she's like, I need my own bathroom. And then... So
and not
I
in that
literally,
voice.
Nearly, though. I literally built a whole bathroom, like, but outside, you know. And then we would boil water for everything. I'm cool with boiling water. I love that sort of stuff, you know. And then that wasn't good enough, so now
No. It was just a natural progression into...
It was a natural progression of being bugged to put hot water on.
Oh, God.
No.
And I did.
I just said, hey, if you want me to stay up here longer, then I need to have shower and
That's a
stuff
threat.
like that. Yeah.
But
So it's up to you.
yeah, so now it's got hot water, and we've got a little generator that we turn on just when we need electricity. But we're about
Eventually
to go solar
we'll
with
get
that.
solar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually there'll be a freaking mansion up there.
I was going to say, by the time you're done, it
Yeah.
sounds like this kind of Lego project. You just kind of keep
Yeah,
building
yeah,
well,
yeah,
and building until
yeah.
it's a mansion.
Yeah.
I'll be looking for another mountain to build a little cabin on.
Yeah.
you
That's
go.
he's already talking about it. He's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I just love building. I hate. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just.
he doesn't stay still.
Yeah.
When he's still, he's asleep.
If I'm at home for 1 hour with nothing to do,
He's asleep, usually.
it's not good. I'm looking
He
for
sleeps
sharp
a lot
objects
when
to
he's
like.
at home.
Really?
Like, that's probably the only sleep that he actually gets
Yeah.
when you come home.
Well,
I'm
it's
just
a
like, great, this is quality time.
it's an awesome cabin. And then you two, like, how did you meet? When did you meet?
Oh, gosh. This is a really long story. I just told this story to your older sister the other night. Like, just in really fine details.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, I don't know, I'll try and do a short version of it. Okay, so I used to work for a clothing store, and I think at the time, the first time I ever saw you, I don't think I was in charge. I think I was like second in charge sort of thing, like assistant manager or whatever. And it was...
This is before I used to just wear camo out in public, so I was like, I looked alright.
Okay.
Come on.
Is this being filmed as well?
Yes.
Don't you bloody dare. Put that phone away.
Okay. No, so Adam didn't quite look the way he looks now.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
but to me, I was...
No mohawk?
No, it was different. It was kind of different.
You can tell. I used to have like full gelled spiked hair.
Yeah,
or,
like
yes,
in these
dude. So,
twists.
like,
Yeah.
what year was this?
1999.
Oh man, so this was right when like NSYNC, Backstreet
Yeah,
Boys, like the
you've
It
got
was
bleach,
hot.
you-
I
bleach
liked
tip.
it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
like,
But
dude,
think a little bit past that. Think full yellow FUBU suit,
Yeah.
yellow boots.
No, dude,
If I
I'm-
wore a cap, yellow cap.
Yeah.
then
Or fully white.
like a white jumpsuit,
Well,
FUBU
like,
jumpsuit.
he's
This-
losing it.
it doesn't suit the industry.
Do you have a picture? You do, don't you?
You send
Can
it to
I
me.
please
No.
send
Send it
it
to
to
me.
this or
No.
send this to
She
me?
pulled
Can I
it
just
out.
I won't
quick-
post it. I
The other
promise.
night we're
I'll
out
just
at
show
dinner.
it to you.
I'm visually
Yeah.
seeing this and it's just blowing my mind because I see
I think
Adam
we should
as this.
put it on the
Yeah.
No,
podcast.
no.
I
No,
see
no,
Adam
you're
as this
free.
You
rough,
can say it personally.
tough,
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
there was
hardcore camo guy.
There was
FUBU?
There was two. There was two Adam Greentrees, dude. There was two of me then.
There was always two. Like,
There was
that
the
was
one
just...
I used to go full hardcore backcountry, like
He
like
still
it
was a
nothing.
hunter. Like,
But
And then-
when you were-
he's
but when I
always
was in
been
the
hunting.
city, it was like
That's his city get up.
like I had spaceman suits, dude, full
Yeah.
silver, head to toe. The chain, dude, the big chain. I'm not even knocking on it. If anyone's watching this, I'm not even knocking on it.
Yeah.
No, and that
Hey,
was definitely
hey, it
in
worked.
at the time.
Dude,
It worked.
this
It
dude's
totally
iced
worked.
tea
You got
in his spare
Kimmi.
time. This dude's iced tea in his spare time. You can't even laugh, dude.
He would, if anybody should have been wearing FUBU, it was iced tea over here.
Yeah.
I did not know this, dude. This is
Good.
This is
And
shocking.
that's how I wanted it to stay. That's how I wanted it to stay.
Hey,
the other
he's
night,
got shit on me,
Hey.
so...
So, but wait, how did
show
he
you
get you?
Okay, I can't wait to see this.
that look, dude. That look. What do you mean, how did I get her? I had spiky hair and a full silver suit. Chicks were digging it.
I
Chicks
was
were
like,
digging it.
woo.
Seriously,
There's
so
so
I
much.
did. I
When
did.
you
I
first
liked
saw
it.
him, then how did this unfold?
So I was not actually in the store. Like, we don't call it a store, we call it a shop. But I'm trying to transition into what your viewers...
We need to understand.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we would, if you said shop, I'd be like, what?
What's a shop?
Yeah, come on, Kimmi. It's a store. Okay, now I'm with you. No, so curious, just real
Okay.
quick, probably not an insignificant detail, but like, what
Okay.
kind of clothing was being sold from this store
Female
or shop?
clothes, like...
Okay,
with
so it wasn't FUBU. You weren't selling
No.
to this customer.
I'm picturing
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret.
No,
kinda,
no,
That
it was
wasn't-
like
like
I
an
don't-
American
like
Eagle.
a
Teenager
Forever
girl
21.
clothes.
Okay, Forever
Okay.
21.
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
you. I'm with
Okay,
you.
all right, cool. Yeah, so we had like a clearance rack in like a separate part of the shopping mall.
Mm-hmm.
and I see this guy, like, with about 5 girls around him.
Try it, boys.
Let's
try it.
Let
Keep
me
going.
make this clear. I have never once questioned that you were like a ladies' man.
Silver
I'm just
space
silver
suit.
spacesuit and FUBU. You know, I'm just like I'm connected.
Okay.
And spiked hair.
It's fine.
Keep going,
Surrounded
Kimmi.
by
This
women.
is so great.
Okay.
Man, this did not go where I thought it was. This is so awesome.
This is not going where I thought it was.
I love it.
Okay. So, I see this guy.
5 girls around him.
Like a few young girls, like 14 or something like that. I don't know.
14.
All right,
please.
14. No, like as in age. They looked like they were like 15, 14.
They looked very youthful.
They were all
Yeah.
18.
No, they
Continue.
will. No, they were not. Okay. So, and then I was like, oh, that kid's really good looking, thinking that he was the same age. Like, so he was like, 15, 16 or something
Right.
like that. And then, a girl that I recognized that I didn't really like for some reason. I can't remember why. No, so because they looked familiar to me. So I have a younger sister. She's 6 years younger than me. And, I recognized some of the girls going to the same high school as my sister. So, and one of them I didn't like. I thought, whatever. Anyway, so she comes over and she buys a top off me and see you later. So that was the first time I had ever seen him. I had no idea who he was. I was assuming he was just
But
some
he's a cute
kid.
young kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
shiny,
the
still has-
local high school or
He
whatever.
still
He's
has
really
like a baby face.
Yeah, I mean, he looks really
Baby
sharp
face,
with those
right?
that spiked
Exactly.
hair.
Exactly.
He looks young.
Yeah. And I think the next time I saw him, again, I was at work and I was just coming back in to work and I was like, oh, there's that guy again. Well, not guy, because I still thought he was a kid. And, my heart's just like, oh my God, get control of yourself. But that was when you wore that champion vest with the sleeves cut off.
Front would be unzipped too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I probably, this is all like in the space of maybe about 3 or 4 months. And I just started seeing this guy pop up around town. I remember, I don't even know if I told you this, but once when I was driving to the grocery store, it was raining and I saw you at a bus stop and you looked pissed off. Every time that I saw him,
Did he
I was
always
catching a
look
bus
pissed
in the
off?
He
rain.
looked
Of
mad.
course I was pissed off.
But it was sexy.
It was
You were angry.
Yeah,
I
she was
could
like,
see
man,
it.
he looks so pissed off, but he's FUBU, the rain. It's like it's glistening off that shiny suit. Dude,
Okay,
I can
carry
imagine.
on.
yeah, so, but every time I saw him, it was just like dead
You
behind the
almost
eyes,
didn't know how
just
to-
like,
Yeah.
he was ready to just punch on with someone.
Oh,
like he looked mad all the time.
It was a good look.
And it was like,
working.
well, it worked because I was like, what's wrong with that guy? Why does he always look so mean?
Girls like a bad dude.
Yeah, obviously. And then, so when was the next time how did it all came together? So basically, a girl that worked for me, her best friend was his sister. So this one time, his younger sister was in the shop. She's like, I'll buy this, I'll buy that.
I was my little sister's guardian, and I
She
just cut
was
in for a
14.
second,
Yeah.
And then, I couldn't give her money because she'd just blow it on whatever. I don't know. She might have been buying cigarettes for all I knew.
Right.
So I'd
Probably.
hold on to her money, but I'd go in and, at my lunch break at work, I'd go and buy her something to eat to make sure she was eating or give her the money then.
Just rationing it out.
Rationing it out.
Yeah. So this day, Katie was in there and she was, can you hold this for me and hold this for me? And I'll come back later and buy it and stuff like that. And, somehow I just broken up with a boyfriend a couple of weeks prior and I don't know how I didn't realize the connection and then I did. And I was like, the one with the spiky hair. And they were like, yeah, he just broke up from his girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, he's really cute. And then now realizing, oh, okay, he's only a year younger than me. It's not so bad. so I was 20 and he was 19.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like dead set on getting us together. I'm like, don't say anything.
Yeah, don't you screw this up.
Yeah, I'm just
I'll
like,
take the
this
lead.
is so embarrassing. Please don't. And then I think the next day.
Please stop it some more.
Yeah, please stop it some more.
So the next day, he just came into my store and asked me out on a date, and I was like, oh, okay.
She's
And-
like,
You made the move.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
You were a bad dude.
I'm
It
a
sounded
man.
like.
That's what man does.
So you
I'm
must
a
have been
man.
noticing her.
No, sorry. So, Kim just had this half an hour story of just all the times that she'd seen me, and I'm just like, I just walked into where she was working, and I was like,
Oh, yeah, she looks all right.
yeah. No, I'm just like, why be
No,
scared?
I heard you say on your podcast, you had a goal. You wanted a pretty wife.
I wanted well, yes, okay. I did
Which
want a pretty
podcast
wife.
was this? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember, but there
It
was. I
your
had like
show.
2 or 3
Was
things.
I on it?
I
Yeah.
can't remember. I don't know. I can't
Maybe it
wonder-
was the first one.
I wanted the 4-wheel drive so I could go hunting.
That's
and
right. That was on the
destinations.
show.
I wanted my own family.
I remember thinking, he's pretty easy to please, really.
Super easy. Yeah.
I think
Adam's
guys.
a simple guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most guys
I
are
like
pretty
that.
We
simple.
think pretty simple. There's a few things we
Not all
want
of
in
them.
life.
What I liked was 4-wheel drive. That is a
four-wheel
goal.
Oh, he wanted
Two-wheel,
one
get
so
out.
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, no 2 wheels. Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah. And
Unacceptable.
My own family, which meant
Right.
a wife, and I just you have these stupid things, blonde or brunette or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I was like, blonde. She has to be
Preferably
blonde.
with
And then-
long hair.
So I
Long blonde hair.
So then I walked into where my sister was to give her some lunch money or whatever, and then there was Kim standing there, and I just asked her out, and I'm like, do you want to come out to dinner with me tonight?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what to say. I don't even know you. And then I'm like, chicks are like, and I'm like, they're nice shoes. And then she was like, yep, I'm coming. I'm coming. Pretty much that's how it happened.
Well, guys don't usually notice girls' shoes. So
Ah,
I was like,
Dude, Adam, you are my hero.
It works.
You know
I'm
all
like,
the right
he likes
moves.
my shoes. I like my shoes too.
Not only is Adam like one of the most interesting men in the world, but he's also like
He's got some game.
oh, dude,
Yeah.
bro's got some game.
I went from,
Well played, sir.
I went from cowboy hats and horses to
Fubu.
spacesuits.
Face Fubu
Kim?
and
Yeah.
spikes.
Yeah. And then once I won her over, I slowly turned back to cowboy hats and horses.
Yeah. Well,
I
don't think
like
that you're that
Yeah.
bushy.
Like we
now.
virtually didn't
Yeah.
spend any time apart. Like we'll just
It was just
From that
hardcore
point
head over
forward,
heels,
just
from
dude.
yeah,
It was
right
insane.
from the first date. I was like, this guy's different.
How long have you guys been? 19 years?
18.
Yeah,
No, 18
Yeah,
years.
18, yeah.
We're going into our 19th this
Wow.
October.
But it's
And
like-
it wasn't, and you guys were young when it started.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's like literally, like every day, like back then I thought I couldn't love you anymore. Like after the first or second year, and like it's
Yeah.
like every day I'm just like, how can I love this woman more? Like it's insane. Like dead serious, no jokes,
Yeah.
all that aside right now. That it's like every day I'm like, how can she be becoming more to me? Like you don't even realize you've got that in you, to love someone that much. It's
Yeah.
like insane.
It is crazy.
And she's just like. Man,
but
I'm
we
fu-
have love competitions. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I must love you more.
Because I used to have
Yeah.
this thing of just like, if we got stuck in the desert and there was enough water for
Oh, he also
both of
told me
us-
this like the second time we ever hung out.
I meant that. I don't muck around. I'm telling you, I don't muck around. I meant it then as well, but I don't muck around. If there was enough water for us to both possibly survive and get out of the desert, I'd still give you more than what I needed to survive just
Yeah.
to make you feel special.
And I'm like, so you're going to kill yourself? That's how much you love me?
See,
Yeah.
but I appreciate this because I
love.
see, you guys go on family outings. You're on holiday together. You got your kids with you. It's, and then you can obviously tell that you guys have a strong relationship, and I think that's important today. Like, I think it too many relationships don't end well,
yeah.
and I'm curious between the two of you, like, why has it worked? Because so many don't.
One thing is we're super, super respectful of one another, you know. So, like I don't go down, like, the bar or I don't go to somewhere where...
It seems like you're completely disgusted with things that I like.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying I don't go to a bar and I don't disrespect Kim by going to some strippers or because like that's a pretty normal thing in Australia for an Australian dude to do. That's hurtful and disrespectful, you know. So
yeah, going to like the pub. We call it the pub.
The pub, there's pubs here.
Yeah, I don't do those sorts of things
and like
just,
ogling other women and it's
and
just,
not even that. I just make sure that when I'm home, I'm quality because I'm like, how would I like to be treated?
Yeah.
How would I like to feel? You know, like she's me queen, you know, and there's like, I make sure that's always known. Like, and I just said it right there. I make sure she knows that she's really appreciated and loved and that she's my world. It's as simple as that, you know.
Yeah. And we just always think about the situation that we're in, how would he feel if the situation was reversed?
Yeah, and we constantly work, like anything good in life, full stop, I'm telling you have to work for it. I don't know anything that just lands on your lap and that you get the keep and it's constantly good. Everything in life you got to work towards, and that's what we work towards in a relationship.
We fight.
We fight, but we fight for each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we fight to make each other better, you know. It's not like if I've got an issue with something and Kim doesn't think it's right, she's not going to stand on the sidelines and be like, no, you're right, you know. You're okay to be negative like that. That's fine. No, it's the complete opposit.
Like, grow up, dude.
Yeah, it's like,
I didn't marry a
You're
pansy.
being negative.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Exactly, you know.
But it's usually you doing that to me. No, he always has. He's always like, toughen up, all the time. But
Used to hate it to start with, and same with the kids, you know.
Like, I still kind of hate it, but
I still kind of hate it.
But it does make me tougher.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially to be, you know,
but now
more
she'll do it to the
independent.
kids because I think Kim had a bit of an issue with it to start with. We didn't like it, but if the kids just like
fall over,
whatever,
and hurt themselves,
I'm just like, why are you crying for? Like, why are you crying? Yeah. It's just a little bit of pain. It's just a feeling. You don't have to cry about it. Like, get over
I still
it.
Don't like
it's the same if you hurt yourself. It's like, right.
Well, I'm allowed to cry. It hurts.
No, but I'm like, because I've had some decent injuries and you don't cry.
Right.
You know, and I was like saying to the kids, like, if I accidentally chopped a couple of my fingers off, this might happen one day too. If I accidentally chop a couple of my fingers off, like, I wouldn't cry.
There's not much you can do about it.
No, that's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
True, right?
I'm the
and
same
it's catching
way.
on to my kids. Like, they're hurting themselves, and they're just hopping up and being like,
yeah,
get on. It's not going to kill me.
That's how we were, and always have been with our kids. And they fall down and they're crying, and I'm like, you look fine to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, so they don't really bother seeking the sympathy or any of that, because when you put it in perspective, nobody died.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everything's good.
Dude, if I tell my kids not to do something because I know it's dangerous and then they hurt themselves, we laugh at them.
I do too.
We're like, ha, sucked in. I told you not to do that.
I do the same thing.
That dude just turned around thinking I was talking to him.
He got sucked into that. My dad always told us, "Oh, son, take some Advil and get over it."
Yeah.
You know, my dad was a tough guy that was just like, I'd come to him and I'd be bawling, Dad, and he's like, toughen up. And I'm like, you don't love me? It's like, no. And then I realized that my dad loved me enough to make me a whining baby, crying pansy. And
you can spot him out.
Yeah, he helped me toughen up a lot. I'm still, I still cry. I've already cried today a couple times on some emotional podcasts, but I cry because of feeling and passion, not because my finger hurts or I fell on something. But I'm the same way with my boys. And my wife is also the same. She comes from a family hailed from, tough luck. And I think that builds a lot of character into your kids, because it did for you and
definitely.
It's interesting because when I heard your story, listening to it, I told you on Instagram that there were some parallels between my own life. Like, I owned a construction company before college and then through college, and did a lot of construction. We built houses, and my brother-in-law and I were partners in that. And then when we got done and we graduated from, and my wife and I met. She was 19, I was 21. We got married, and then we built a tree house. For years we had a little home, and I was like, but I want to build Like, we were watching the Home and Garden HGTV show. And I was
That'll
like,
do it to you.
Dude, I'm, like, watching all these, like, treehouse getaways. And we live in Oregon City. There's giant, massive trees all over. And there's all this acreage my family has. And I'm like, I want to build a treehouse. And my wife's like, she has her degree in interior design. She's like, sweet. So she CADs it up and designs it. And I talk to these arborists, and we figure out how to build it into these trees. And we build this treehouse 20 feet up in the air. And it's off of a slope, and so there's a bridge, like a 50-foot bridge that our neighbor engineered. And at first it was cables and planks and real ghetto, like pirate ship kind of stuff. When it froze, because you'd slide to the middle and kind of go. So my wife's like, the bridge has got to go. Plus, if the dogs ran across the bridge, the whole house shook. And so we got this fixed truss bridge built. And anyway, we lived in it for like 9 years, and it was just an adventure. And just being up in the trees like that, and the wind blows, it feels like you're kind of on a boat.
Yeah.
And we did that, and my wife is like my best friend. Like, we're like buddies. We do everything together. And so I heard these parallels, and I was like, man, I felt the same way. I've done some of the same things, and so I like that. But then I was, my wife always, from the beginning, was appreciative of my hunting. Like, she's like, you want to leave for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about it, but it fulfills you, go do it.
Yeah.
Like, if it makes you feel more manly, and when you come back, you feel like filled, she's like, that's what I want for you.
That's definitely a big part of why we work so well. Like, I don't hold Kim back from doing whatever she wants, and she doesn't hold me back. And because at the end of the day, we're still all our own people, and we still like what we want and stuff like that. If you start stopping the other person from what they like, then obviously they're going to
They're not them anymore.
They're not them, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, like, in the beginning and even still now, like, it's nearly like your medicine. Like, it's just because of all the that happened to him when he was a kid and everything like that. He just had to... I've just got to get out and clear my mind.
That was an escape for you, wasn't it?
I still say today that bow hunting, whatever you want to look, however you want to look at bow hunting or the outdoors, but I was going outdoors to go bow hunting, saved my life, because it would and it still does. Like, when I was getting right into the business and I was pumping the business, and there's a lot of stress, financial stress when you're doing something like that. To be able to go hunting and just clears the mind, dude, and the ideas that I'd come up with when I was hunting that I could never come up with in any other environment were insane. And that's literally why I'm sitting here and feel retired today, because of going out there and thinking of those things. And
you think about your simple things that you wanted in life. You're like, I want a 4-wheel drive. I want a wife. I want a family, and I'm sure part of that too is I want to go hunting and do that. But what's so beautiful is you need a 4-wheel drive truck to go to some of the places you need to go. You now have a beautiful wife that you love and is part of that sport too now, and you have these wonderful kids. And I love the story when you went out with your kids and you guys were hunting together. Yeah. And it's like, it's all encompassing. It's not only has it saved your life, but it's also saving the life of your own family. And I think that's pretty special.
And it also goes to show, if you want something bad enough, you'll get it, Like if you ever heard someone say, I really, really want that. And,
do you?
Because you'd get it. You'd be working towards that right now. And I've worked my whole life to get to where I am now. And that's why I'm so appreciative and happy, dude. Like, there's never a day.
We've never been given anything like...
Yeah,
without working.
Nothing came easy.
No.
Yeah, and that's the best way to have everything, too, because then you appreciate it.
I think there's an appreciation valued that's brought to anything, and I think you said it really well, Adam, when you're like, listen, nothing that I know of that's come to me in life that I love came easy. I worked for it. Nothing came into my lap.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Anyone that's walking around thinking stuff's just supposed to land in their lap and be good is
that's a toxic. That's a toxic idea.
So bad
to just think that you're entitled or things should just happen. What I hate to say is you deserve that. I hate that statement. I want to say you earned that.
Yes.
Because if you say deserved, it sort of is like it's this. Why?
Yeah.
Nobody deserves anything.
Yeah.
Nothing is guaranteed.
That's exactly what
I could fall off a car tomorrow and be paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not entitled to have this to be this other way.
You didn't deserve to be paralyzed. You earned that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think those words matter and your outlook matters. And you, we've established in an earlier podcast that Australia is not exactly always the safest place. I mean, you got like poisonous stuff and crocodiles and all that.
Is that perception true?
Okay, like he's still alive, and I'm still alive.
That's what I mean. But you have something else.
Success rate, right?
Yeah, we're alive. So proof.
Yeah.
But anytime you go out and do something at least for me. So I went on this. The first bear hunt I ever went on was to Prince of Wales Island.
Beautiful
place. It was 2007. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go on a bear hunt. You know, I've always wanted to do this. And I did this stalk on a bear. It was it took a few days, like 4 or 5 days. I had my bow, and I didn't carry a gun or any bear spray or anything. I was like, I'm a bow hunter, and I just go out with nothing. And black bears run away from you. Well, these black bears are like grizzly bears, like square 7 feet, 7.5 feet, and they're big and intimidating. And I'd never hunted bears before. And I'd seen bears in Oregon, and bears in Oregon look like big black dogs.
Yeah.
You know. And so I'm on Prince of Wales Island, and I see this bear, and I sneak up on it, and there's this huge, huge tree. He's in this big, wide open field. And there's like one tree in the middle, and he's on the other side of it. I think he's 20 yards or so beyond the tree. So I get the wind right. I come, and I use that tree to hide as I walk in the wide open through this field. I get to the tree, and I'm up against the tree, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to lean out. I think I'm going to draw my bow first and then lean out. And then I'm assuming he's going to be at 20 yards and I'm going to whatever. Then I'm like, well, maybe I should look before I just lean out. So I'll look, I'll just ease. So I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. And the bear is like from here to Kim.
Oh, crap.
And its butt is right there. And it's literally right on like feet from me. And I lean back around the tree and I'm like, this is close. This is really close. And I'm like, but how badass would it be if I shot it right there? And I started going through my mind. I was like, dude, you can't miss. It won't even know what happened. And I start going through my head these scenarios. And then I remember my wife, as I'm getting on the plane to leave, she's like, look, bear hunting with a bow, great, that's fine. Just don't be stupid. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, being torn, and we have kids at home, a couple of kids, and I'm like torn between, do I shoot this bear and have this epic story and adventure at like 3 feet, or do I back away? And I really was torn, and I came to this conclusion, like, I want to come home to this wife and kids, and I want it to be, I feel like it's not fair. It's not fair if I do this. So I just backed up off of the tree just to get 20 yards or so or 30 yards before I'd shot the bear. And then as I did that and I started to move, he actually caught wind and bolted. But I still, I can remember it really, it's fresh still in my mind. And I've come across goat hunting, climbing some cliffs and going, you could die right here. This is risky. And there's a lot of dumb things I've done and a lot of dangerous things that I've done while hunting. Bush planes scare me. I don't like that. But I do it anyway. And my question to you is, how do you balance the risk of your adventures?
A good question
but
for
also,
him.
because you really, really love your family.
Yeah, and
but
that's what makes it hard,
Still take chances.
It's like,
well, see,
I'm so like you've heard me say it before. I'm happy to die because I've lived such a fulfilled life with Kim and the kids, and it's like I've ticked all my own boxes, and I'm just really happy, and I know that I'm really loved and stuff like that. So it's like if this is it, I'm happy to go. It's cool, and I want everyone to know that I'm happy to go.
We don't want you to go, though.
So when, you're standing over my casket, I want you to be like, yay, he's gone.
Well done.
No.
That's not going to happen. I know that. But at the same time, because I've got those things that make me so happy to die, that I don't want to, I want to see my kids grow. I want to spend, eternity with Kim. I want to see my kids' kids, so it's really hard. And there's, I've always did a little bit of risk management I say a little bit, but I've always done risk management on every hunt, what I've done, you know. And there's been things that I've gone to do, like what you were just saying then.
Like their grizzly bear on that Instagram story.
Yeah.
That was that dude. Close, brother.
Yeah, I
and
know.
your gun's jammed.
Yeah.
Like, close.
Yeah, I know. It's not good.
I was like...
What was going on in Kimmy's mind?
Yeah, I was petrified.
Right?
Yeah,
I didn't upload any of that until I got back to the tent.
What are you doing?
Until you got back to the tent?
I didn't because of, like, I wanted to, as soon as she started freaking, be able to call her or message her and just, it's cool. It's all right, you know.
Like, it's not cool. Not cool.
Like, that's right.
This is what's so interesting. We're sitting here talking about is Australia a tough, a horrible or not? Excuse me, a horrible place, a threatening place. Sorry,
No, to
all
me,
my
no, but when you come across the pond, you almost die.
Yeah,
I haven't died in Australia, but I almost died in America.
And not once. There's been like 3 times that I've had a mass adrenaline rush because I thought that's what happens when you get that
Time's
close
up.
and you sort of see it. You get like this massive adrenaline rush. It's insane, which I believe helps you through a lot of situations, like the bear keeping calm and stuff like that. And like I rolled a six-wheeler and I broke my hip. Another time, my buddy snapped 2 fingers on either hand doing it. Like it literally laid on top of me, and I pulled myself out from the 6-wheeler.
I was actually in Montana at the time, and you were pretty shooken up.
Yeah,
from that.
But I had that mass adrenaline rush, and I couldn't feel anything wrong with me. And I walked to the top of the mountain. I tried to get signal on my phone to get help. Couldn't get signal on the phone. Turned around, thought we've just got to get ourselves out of this. And as I was walking down, and the adrenaline's wearing off, then just agonizing pain. Like I thought my bladder was ripped open and everything. Like I just kept needing to do a pee and stuff like that. And like I'd try and do a pee and nothing was coming out. I'm expecting to piss blood or something like that. Like not good. But man, and then I had a bruise that was like a shark bite size around here. Like just instant. Like as soon as I lifted up my shirt. And but anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's been other situations like when I've gone to go around a cliff and then you stop and you start thinking, and I think about Kim and I start thinking, no, there needs to be more risk management in this. You can't go that way. You've got to backtrack 3 hours to go where you're going to go that was only going to take 20 minutes, you know. So those sort of things come into play for sure.
Because it's interesting, before I was married, and when I was a teenager, when I was a younger man, I didn't make that choice to go around. I was like, I think I could climb to that spot. And I thought to myself, well, if I die, and you actually went through it. And it's like, I'm pretty dang confident I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
But if I did, it didn't really, it's like, my mother would be upset. But, but now it's different. Like, I want to take the risk, but I truly am. Like, I would be happy.
Got these people
I feel
that
like
love
I
you
live
and
life.
that you've got to help provide for. And stuff
I feel like I would let my children. My biggest fear when I go out and I leave my family and do something, out in the British Columbian wilderness, is that I don't come back. And you picture your teenage daughters and stuff like growing up without their dad. That's the part that scares me.
But
it's not my own life I'm worried about.
Yeah.
It's letting them down there.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
different. So, but it does cause me to act differently. I think it's probably smarter.
Yeah. But you're your own person. You love that, and you've got to live life, and you should enjoy life. Like, there's no use living a completely boring life and not being happy with life and dying at 100.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You're better off living a fulfilled life to 20.
Talk to Andy, Stump, jumping off of buildings. He's like, dude, I want to live life.
No, he's got issues. That's different. That's completely different.
I agree.
Because it doesn't appeal to me one bit.
Me either.
I've never sat and thought, I just really want to jump off a building.
But another way
sounds fun.
Another way to look at it is people die just driving to work, dude.
I know.
Like, the car ride to the hunting destination is probably
more
dangerous than 99.8% of the hunting that we do.
Yeah.
Or living in a big city where there's a lot of crime and stuff like that. They're all dangerous things. We still drive on the road.
Yeah.
We still go to work. We still interact in big groups of people where there's a bunch of strangers that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, humans are more dangerous than anything we encounter out there in the wild.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
We just I don't want to bring it up because it's been choking me and Kim up all week, but
oh, don't. Yeah. No, one of my good friends, they just lost their son like a week ago.
And like
just
17,
awful.
like his life's
And he
right
was
in front of him.
Kid. Yeah.
And they were just out on like a bit of a Christmas vacation. Out on the water in a boat, and he fell off the boat, and that's it. 17 years old, life's gone, man.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to appreciate everything in life.
It really puts things into perspective about just don't sweat stuff that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, some things matter, obviously, but like, why get into that argument and that fight? Like, over, you know,
the pettiest
just meaningless
crap
stuff. Or, like, you know, fighting battles with your kids like, you need to just weigh up what's important and what isn't. And,
when my wife got cancer, that was the hardest thing that I ever done. And I thought that I was a pretty tough guy, and that, you know, I don't expect life to just hand me anything. You know, that bad things are going to happen. I could lose a child. I could lose my wife. That's just how it goes. But when it actually came down to that possibility, and then when I saw her go through chemo, I definitely got really bitter and broken. And I didn't expect to experience that. But it instantly, for her and for me, reduced what mattered in life down to its perfect detail. We didn't question a thing anymore. It was easy to tell what really mattered to me in my life. And then from then on, it's like that's when I started Gritty Bowmen. That's when I quit this other job. That's when I started doing other things. She started pursuing other interests, and we're like, we're done. We sold the house. We sold this. We let go of all of that stuff. I got her a 4-wheel drive Jeep. I got a truck, and then we go out and have adventures.
Yeah. Because you just never know, dude. It can be right there on your doorstep, and you don't even know.
You guys, Adam, and you've known me for a little bit. Kimmi, maybe you get to know me better, but I'm an extremely optimistic and very positive person, and I live in a world where people think I live in a fantasy world. But I believe in what you're saying when you say, you know, and Gary Vee talks about this: 99% of things don't matter.
Yeah.
And I really believe in that too. That when there's so many things in life that you can't sweat the small things, because there's so many things that matter so much more than that I think sometimes we get lost in these little small things that we feel start to consume or take rent, not only in our mind, but in our relationships, and add no value or do nothing other than hinder us from true happiness and being happy. And so I try, you know, had similar experiences as you're talking about life. You know, my son, one of my sons, Kenton, was born, and we had an immediate heart surgery. I mean, here you are. You talk about how much you love your wife and how much you love Kimmi, and you're like, man, you just keep loving him. And you guys both know, as parents, all of a sudden you receive this child, and immediately you love them as much as you love each other. Right, it's instantaneous, right? And so all of a sudden, this child, Kenton, my son, is born. It's my second child, and I love him so much. And immediately, but then all of a sudden, he's immediately taken away from me, and I've given the message that he's going to die if we don't perform a open heart surgery. And here's this little child, an infant like this big, and how's it going to happen? And all of a sudden, perspective is brought in, and you start to realize and cherish the things. And what I love about my son Kenton, I love all my children. I love my wife dearly. She is my best friend, and just I love hearing your guys' story. It's so refreshing, and I hope everyone listening enjoys it too, because it's true. You know, when you love something so much, you want to do everything for it, whether it's your wife, your kids, but you also need, I feel like what you guys have said today is so powerful, in that, you know, we each shouldn't live our lives in fear and in a way that we don't want to truly live our life, that we live in fear of failure or fear of falling down or something's going to happen. Or, I mean, you guys talk about your dear friend that's it, 17 years. And, you never know. Fortunate, and I guess close my story is that my son had a surgery and he's here. And he's a constant reminder to me. Every time I look at him, he's my little Kenton. He's so fun. I love my son. But as I look at him, he's always a quick reminder to me. And I feel like God has blessed me with him in many ways, in all of my children. But I look at him and he helps keep me in perspective of life.
Definitely.
I remember, because truthfully, there's no guarantees with Kenton. Even though the surgery was successful, every month we have to meet with cardiologists and make sure that it's going good, and he's still got a lot of life to live. And so I cherish every moment I have with him and every opportunity that I have with all my kids and my wife and my family. And so it's some very good advice that you guys are sharing.
I think it's fun to follow your adventures. People should check out Bow Hunter's Life. I really like the one with April Vokey and Kimmi, where you talked about trying to hunt with them. And that was very entertaining. I like hearing stories about boar attacks, these pigs that you're killing and stuff. And your buddy, who seems to get
Antonio.
Antonio. That Antonio saga is pretty good.
That's why I'm terrified of pigs.
Yeah, it's like 17 times, dude. You've just heard about a couple of them.
I think it's like a shark. Like they say that they can sense
the fear.
Oh, for sure.
And then they just tune into it.
I walked up the top of the hill with his daughter one of his daughters. And because there usually is some pigs around and stuff like that. And when I got to the top, I thought, I don't want to swear. I just thought, oh crap.
Oh, crap.
I'm with Antonio's daughter. What if she has the gene or whatever that's attracting pigs? And I'm like, yep, good for you. Okay, let's go.
That's hilarious.
I'm out of here.
I wanted to say something about... Because one of the things that usually gets people tied down and like caught up with the rat race is their job.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give anyone bad advice that's then going to bring hardship into the home because I don't have an income. But if
Adam told me I need to quit my job and do this.
If I had a hunt that I wanted to do, I would say, can I have this time off in 4 weeks' time? Can I have a week off because I want to go hunting? If they said no, I wasn't there in 4 weeks' time. I was always going to do what I wanted to do because it's a different sort of satisfaction than getting money and paying bills, is going for a hunt and living your life. And I remember I had an awesome job, like it paid so good, and I'm only like, when did I work at?
We weren't together.
Okay, so I was like 17 or 16 or 17.
Yeah.
I had a job that
he
paid
left school when he was 14.
as much as
did you really?
qualified contractors do.
Yeah.
And
14.
Rebel.
14, were you?
Yeah,
when you
14.
When you left school.
Yeah. And that's a whole other podcast. But anyway, I had this awesome job, and I'm like, look, I need 2 weeks off. I'm going for this cool hunt in a month's time. And the dude's like, no, you can't get time off. And I'm like, well, just employ someone because I'm not going to be here. And I remember leaving and going hunting, and like I threw away this awesome job. But what I got out of that hunt, because it was with some like older, more experienced dudes, what I got out of that job was that hunt was better than that job would have ever paid. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And then when I got back home, I had the job anyway.
I totally agree. Like, I've done the same exact thing. I'm like, okay, well then I won't be here.
Yeah.
I'll walk away, and then I go and do what I want to do. And I actually never have lost the job either.
Yeah.
Like, they end up going, oh, well, I guess, because I think if you do good work when you are there,
exactly,
they're like, that's not easy to find.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to say is, you
get
like,
to make the rules when you work. We've
had this even at Mountain Ups as we've grown with our employees. We strongly encourage like creativity, learning, growing, and trying to help everyone exceed their own potential that they think they have. We foster that strongly. But we always tell them, we're like, listen, we want you guys to be able to go work hard and play hard. We believe in that principle very much. But
except for Matt Davis, you just work hard.
All you do is just play, Matt. Why don't you just go play and do everything?
That's all he does do.
Dude, well, social media, man, that's like, yeah, you ask Darby how they're doing. Darby's like, do I get to come with you? Like, and he does. He includes Darby. It's so fun, but it's funny. Jeremy and Mike Looper at Hoy were saying the same. They're like, does he even, like, work for you? Like, when he was here, you know. But we strongly encourage that. I believe what you're saying to the degree, because we also encourage, we say, listen, you want time off. I mean, if you've got your job done, you're working hard, you've earned that.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? I don't believe in that. I deserve to get time off. It's like, no, you earn that time off. You're given it, but you could get more time off if you work hard because then.
And that's just one small example in life. If something's holding you down, you know, as long as it's like, I'm not saying neglect your family or anything like that. I'm saying other things. If there's other things that are holding you down, then some things just need to be given away. You know? One thing that I've always had said to me, like, how are you able to hunt so much? I don't do anything else. I don't follow any sports. I don't go to any sporting events. I don't go down the bar and watch sports. I just hunt. When you just do one thing, when you're just so passionate about one thing, then obviously you get a lot of time in it. I've got other friends that do everything: motocross, boxing, bow hunting, fishing, the whole lot. And you
fill
get
your life with lots of
year.
things.
Yeah.
Well, I think back to your point earlier, one thing that I've always said and still to this day is I've never put a lot of value on money. Just don't.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we didn't have money. My dad was a truck driver. We still don't really. And it's okay. Like, what I found is, you know, when it comes to the dollar bill, that if you're not happy right now, in like you guys talked about being poor, you know, if you're not happy when you're poor, you're not going to be happy when you get more money.
Yeah.
Because poor is really relative, especially for Australia, probably. I know for the U.S., it's like when you're poor, you're rich. Especially if you've been to a third world.
It's like less is more.
Less is more. And we were just always like, well, we've got each other. So,
and there's
as corny as that sounds.
There's a TED Talk that Simon Sinek, he talks about that very point that Brian just brought up, where he said, you know, a lot of people in life, they chase the almighty dollar. And they don't realize that, you know, they'll leave the next job to go to the next job because they're going to pay you more. But then they're not happy. And then they'll go and they'll just keep chasing this dollar. And at the end of the day, he said just what Brian said, which is if you truly love something, you'll do everything to get it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then the byproduct of that is that the money, or if the monetary, like that comes. Yeah. Because if you're good at something, a trade, right? You know, you're good at designing interiorly and helping him
raise to the top. You'll be within the top 5% of all paid bow hunters in Australia.
Yeah. No, I mean,
top 5%.
Yeah.
Is that a statistic?
No.
Where did you pull that one from?
I heard this in.
We need some more of these companies to hook some Australian bow hunters up, because right now I'm in the top 1% of bow hunters paid in Australia.
Yeah, and also he's also in the percent of everyone asked me, how does Adam Greentree get all this mountain ops?
Yeah.
We're trying to work so hard to get more mountain ops in Australia.
But Australia's got some sensational bow hunters, dude.
Yeah.
You guys are hardcore down there.
Like, everyone thinks that I'm something special. There's like at least another one of me in Australia. No, there's a heap of good bow hunters in Australia, and I wish and I hope some of these companies listen to this and they start looking at some Australian bow hunters.
Well, isn't it exciting? Like, it's a great time to be a bow hunter.
Oh, 100%.
People are getting into it. They're very curious about it. They want to find out where their food comes from.
It's just that really cool open mind.
And then when you've got great companies like Hoyt, right, that does such a phenomenal job for this space, for the bow hunting community, and really, like, obviously being one of the best bow companies out there, being one of the longest, it's a fun tradition that we have.
It's a fun family to be part of too.
Oh, it's a wonderful, beautiful
I
family. I
take my hat off to them guys, because like when I had like a couple of hundred followers, they had my back.
They cared about you then.
Yeah, they never knew that I was going to get whatever amount of followers that I've got now, you know. Yeah. But they still backed me, and you know, like all those first companies that ever took me on, man, I'm so appreciative for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so glad we did this.
This has been
glad
fun.
you made it to the
this
side of the pond.
This was not a letdown. Oh yeah, you guys exceeded all expectations.
They're taking everything down.
Yeah, we're sitting here. You guys notice
intercom has come on and kicked us out, and we're still hanging out.
They dropped the lights. Everything's being pulled down. Yes. They want to kick us out.
Well, good luck, guys. And all you do.
Thanks for having us on, dude.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to meet you.
Let's do it again.
Dude, yeah.
I want to see the space boots.
Stay gritty, guys. Space boots. Don't be dead weight.
I told you I was going to cry.
Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.